Once upon a time in Hollywood, there was a curvaceous blonde even more popular than Marilyn Monroe, who pioneered and implemented publicity techniques still practiced by today's reality and social media stars. Jayne Mansfield rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most glamorous stars of her era, but her career was cut tragically short. Today, we're talking about the rise and fall of Jayne Mansfield. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel and leave a comment to let us know what other stories from the golden age of Hollywood you would like to hear about next. Okay, Jayne says, I want 'em if they want me. Vera Jayne Palmer may have been born a genius. As a child, she reportedly learned several languages, took singing and dancing lessons, and studied the violin, which she would play for strangers. It seems that even at an early age, all she wanted to be was a star. These ambitions only got stronger after she took drama classes in college. So after doing some local theater, she convinced her husband Paul, whom she married at age 16, to move to Los Angeles to pursue her Hollywood dreams. In just a few short years, her marriage had ended, which meant there was nothing to hold her back from doing anything she could do to catch Hollywood's eye, including history's first wardrobe malfunction. She was invited to a press party celebrating the premiere of the Jane Russell film Underwater. As she hung out by the pool in a red lame bikini swimsuit while photographers looked on, her top suddenly popped off. As one reporter recalled, the model had the genius to permit her bathing suit to split open. Not only did the sudden reveal earn Mansfield attention, but it also allowed her to begin building her brand as a sex symbol, and as a person you should always invite to your pool parties. Mansfield landed a contract with Warner Brothers in 1955, not long after her movie premiere mishap that probably wasn't an accident. But the studio didn't exactly hire Mansfield based on her acting ability. Mansfield's dark hair was dyed blonde, and she began to be marketed as a working man's Marilyn Monroe. In other words, a Marilyn for the 9-to-5 guy who couldn't afford diamonds. Warner Brothers believed she could pose a serious threat to the popularity of one of the most famous women in the world. By 1957, that actually proved to be true, as Mansfield overtook Monroe in popularity polls. Mansfield responded to their constant comparisons by saying, Marilyn is very attractive and all that, but she and I are entirely different. I can dye my hair and play a serious part. Talk about a bombshell, she was really tossing some grenades. Mansfield was fairly shrewd about maintaining her status as a sex symbol. Despite the fact she allegedly had an IQ of 163, she knew people were more interested in her looks than her personality, and would quip, they're more interested in 40, 21, 35. So when it came to keeping attention on her body, she started to get a little creative. Wardrobe malfunctions happened to Mansfield so often that one journalist claimed her endless on-stage strap and zipper mishaps constituted a professional hazard. And you have to hand it to her. Making everyone believe that your clothes might explode off you like a prank show at any moment is a pretty good way to stay in the headlines. One of Mansfield's most famous accidents occurred at a 1957 studio party for Sophia Loren, to which Mansfield showed up wearing a strategically low-cut dress that allowed for more than a little slippage. Accident, right? Well, after Robert Wagner said he saw Mansfield stopped at a red light on her way to the party applying rouge to the very body parts that were later exposed. So, maybe not. But that wasn't the part of the party that people would remember for years. That distinction would be claimed by a picture taken of Mansfield and Loren together, which famously shows Loren giving Mansfield some serious side-eye. As Loren later recalled, "In my face you can see the fear. I'm so frightened that everything in our dress is going to blow. Boom! And spill all over the table." Yeah, that would have been very frightening. Mansfield eventually parted ways with Warner Brothers. Either the studio got sick of her tabloid courting antics and fired her, or she was unhappy with the lackluster work they were offering her, and she quit. No one knows for sure. Whatever the reason for her departure, she returned to the stage and appeared on Broadway in the comedy Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter? The production ran for almost 450 shows, causing Mansfield's co-star Orson Bean to remember, "It became a hit because of Mansfield and all the publicity. She is the only performer who was on the cover of Life magazine twice in one year." The thing was, it wasn't only Life magazine that was giving Mansfield attention. During a 9-month period, she allegedly appeared in newspaper photographs 2,500 times. How do you not end up getting sick of your own face at that point? Mansfield was essentially a free agent after leaving Warner Brothers, and being on Broadway had given her a little more credibility, so 20th Century Fox decided to snatch her up. You might think it was because they admired her work. The studio gave her a huge push, earning her a Golden Globe Award for her role in the film version of Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter. But Fox was also the home of Marilyn Monroe. The studio was in a dispute with Monroe, who was demanding more creative control and bigger paydays. So their decision to scoop up Mansfield, who was Monroe's perceived competition, was a negotiation tactic meant to spite Monroe. In industry terms, it's what is known as a move. But despite Mansfield's initial success at Fox, the studio quickly wound up regretting their decision. They were super unhappy with Mansfield's publicity stunts, particularly the wardrobe malfunction she'd engineered at Sophia Loren's party. Fox also wasn't pleased with her marriage to Mickey Hargitay, a Hungarian-born bodybuilder who had won the Mr. Universe title in 1955. The studio had asked her to date other Fox movie stars, and not to have any children. Not only did she marry the non-movie star Hargitay, the couple had 3 children, including Mariska Hargitay, the future star of Law & Order SVU. Was Fox more upset that she broke their rules or that she gave birth to a future NBC star? When she and Hargitay married in 1958, they threw a lavish wedding and invited several newspaper reporters. She also publicly revealed the location of their ceremony, which resulted in around 8,000 curious spectators showing up. She also purchased a mansion on Sunset Boulevard and called it the Pink Palace and adopted the color as a sort of personal trademark. From cars to furs, Mansfield collected everything pink in order to make her instantly recognizable to the public, just to have a gimmick. And it drove the studio nuts. But Fox didn't end her contract. Instead, they punished her in other ways, like loaning her to foreign film productions, which were perceived as lesser than Hollywood films, and giving her smaller roles. As Fox grew more and more weary of her publicity stunts, Mansfield decided to take her career into her own hands and became one of the first women to do a headlining act in Las Vegas, earning $25,000 a week. She also started making public appearances in exchange for home furnishings, food, money, and even pets. She attended ribbon-cutting ceremonies for a fee of $10,000 and accepted a variety of titles, including Miss Geiger Counter, Miss Nylon Sweater, and Miss Fire Prevention. Miss Industrial Tractor was presumably discussed at one point. While her behavior is a common playbook for modern-day reality stars and celebrity spokespeople, this kind of self-promotion was unheard of at the time. A 1961 newspaper claimed Mansfield had found a way to capitalize on fame which may create an entirely new kind of star. There's not much to the part, but the pay is spectacular. Ouch, not even Miss Fire Prevention could have stopped that burn. As Mansfield continued to have trouble landing substantial movie roles, Fox dropped her contract for good after Marilyn Monroe passed in 1962. Getting desperate, she decided that causing even more controversy was her only way back into the spotlight. So in 1963, the actress starred in Promises, Promises and gave mainstream movie audiences something new: nudity. Although she had appeared in a towel in Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter and experienced numerous public wardrobe malfunctions, became the first time an American actress appeared fully unclothed in a major sound-era motion picture. It may seem strange today, but back then, nudity was simply unheard of in American films. Mansfield hoped that breaking that taboo would revitalize her career. While the perceived scandalousness of the film did gain her some attention, it didn't help her goal of being taken seriously as an actress. By the mid-1960s, people had stopped buying tickets to her movies. She turned to television and local dinner theater to continue working, and reportedly began drinking to excess. Although she was still financially successful, the over-sexualized pinup image that for years had gotten her everything she ever wanted was starting to backfire, big time. So, what happened? Well, you know how sick you are of seeing the Kardashians everywhere? Her strategy to oversaturate newspapers and magazines with her image had resulted in audiences growing tired of Jayne Mansfield. According to a contemporary journalist, Mansfield can sell newspapers and magazines, attract millions of television viewers, and draw crowds everywhere she goes. But at the movies, she's a big bust. It could be that the public got so much of Jayne Mansfield for free that paying for the same privilege was too much. Not even her attempt to create a television pilot in 1965 worked out. The Jayne Mansfield Show would have been a meta sitcom about a woman who'd gained fame as a sex symbol, but was now struggling to be taken seriously as a Shakespearean actress. Hey, that actually sounds like a pretty good show. Mansfield's idea may have been decades ahead of its time, but unfortunately, no one was interested. Jayne Mansfield's career never recovered, and her personal life began to spiral as well. After her third divorce, Mansfield became involved with her divorce attorney, Sam Brody. Brody was allegedly abusive towards Mansfield and her eldest daughter, and she sank deeper into alcoholism. As the two traveled together with 3 of Mansfield's children and their driver on June 29, 1967, tragedy struck. She was leaving an appearance at a restaurant in Biloxi, Mississippi, when their driver steered the car into the back of a tractor-trailer. Jayne Mansfield, Sam Brody, and the driver all perished instantly. The children, asleep in the back seat at the time, were hurt but survived. Headlines would continue to follow Mansfield after her death. Rumors swirled that her passing was the result of a curse placed by Church of Satan founder Anton LaVey, who had a short relationship with Mansfield and was allegedly jealous of Brody. And while LaVey may have cursed the couple, after all, he doesn't look like the kind of guy who doesn't toss around curses, it's unlikely that it had anything to do with the accident. Mansfield's passing did have one positive outcome. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration created a law after the collision that required all truck trailers to feature a rear underguard to prevent vehicles from driving beneath them, as Mansfield's car had done. This safety feature is often referred to as the Mansfield Bar. How did Mansfield's star fall so hard while Marilyn Monroe, who was considered so similar to Mansfield that the two were pitted against each other by a major film studio, became a beloved icon? This might have been because Monroe presented herself as unattainable, while Mansfield gave audiences a window into every aspect of her life, paving the way for modern reality stars and clout chasers. Her career may have also begun to stall as beauty standards started to change. When Mansfield became popular in the late 1950s, her blonde bombshell image was considered ideal, which she easily exploited to become a star. But during the 1960s, the popular idea of sex appeal began to shift from pinup models of the 1940s and 50s to favor hip new stars like actress Raquel Welch and model Twiggy. But Mansfield, a woman who built a brief but lasting career thanks to her shrewd media savvy, arguably would have found a way to stay relevant. For starters, she probably would have dyed her hair red. So what do you think? Was Jayne Mansfield ahead of her time or just a flash in the pan? Tell us why or why not in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from our weird history.